Wow, I can still smell my prom night off of this. Good evening, everyone. If you don't know, you should know. My name is Rameez Khan, and I am a filmmaker and a film critic. And yes, the film called for it. Might as well be wearing a nice jacket, a big jacket, an oversized jacket. These are from the days when I used to be extremely fat, 270 pounds. But I'm a bit leaner now. Need to get down a bit more in weight. But anyway, today's movie is Spectre. I honestly do not get the hate for this film. This film is being blasted by critics and fans all over the world and on multiple websites. I don't get it. This is not a bad film. This is a very good James Bond film. Listen to that very carefully. This is a very good James Bond film. That does not translate into a good film every time. This film belongs more in the Roger Moore catalog of James Bond films than the Daniel Craig catalog of James Bond films. This film substitutes character for spectacle, which means there's a ton of action in this film, which is not a problem because the action is absolutely spectacular. My favorite scene is one of the best action scenes I've seen this year, apart from the Mad Max movie, was the gigantic plane in the snow and the cars and Batista in a car. Awesome stuff. One of my main problems with Spectre is that it plays out like a greatest hits album of James Bond rather than a grounded story. If you watch the past 3 films in the James Bond series, Casino Royale, Skyfall, and Quantum of Solace, they are grounded action stories which just happen to have the main character named James Bond. This one isn't the case, however. This one is a James Bond story rather than a story of James Bond. There is a difference, and the fact that this is a story of James Bond rather than a story with James Bond stops the growth of the character James Bond. This series is played out as an origin of James Bond, how James Bond became James Bond and what his past was. We explore that a little bit. This film does follow those plot threads very loosely, as we find out that Oberhauser, the main bad guy played by an exceptional Christoph Waltz, turns out to be another remnant of James Bond's past. He is linked to him. He knows him from his childhood. Christoph Waltz, who is known for switching between a calm, soothing, very suggestive personality to an absolute maniac seamlessly, is fantastic, and he excels in this role of Oberhauser. Unfortunately, the script lets him down. We barely see this guy. This guy is not in the film. We see him once at the 30-minute mark, and then we see him at the 90-minute mark. Since we barely spend any time with him, we don't know his motives. Why is he doing what he's doing? Oberhauser's plan, of course, is to control all the surveillance in the world. Why? We're never told. It's never been made clear. I don't know why this character didn't work. Silva showed up at almost the same time in Skyfall at the 90-minute mark, but it's made clear to us why he's doing what he's doing. He has a personal vendetta against M, and he makes that clear in the very first lines of his speech. Oberhauser, not so much. He's just doing it because he's a mustache-twirling villain. The writing fails on another part because you give your main bad guy some lines like this, awesome lines like this, which clearly don't work out.
It was me, James. The author of all your pain.
This doesn't work because you are barely on screen. You are not the author of all his pain. We haven't seen you in the past 3 movies, and we haven't seen you in this film at all. By the way, all diehard James Bond fans, including me, we all saw it coming. You all saw it coming. Give yourself a pat on the back. And yes, you can see it miles ahead. The Nehru jacket did not do Oberhauser any favors. Bond fans will know what I'm talking about. The aesthetic of this film doesn't fit where Bond is in his life right now. The film looks way too muddy and oily. The film is way too dark as well. At certain moments it was like you're almost blind. I don't know, man. The Daniel Craig movies to me are the most un-James Bond movies. They're about moving away from what makes James Bond. Like in Casino Royale when he orders a martini and the waiter asks him, "Would you like it shaken or stirred?" And he goes, "Do I look like I give a damn?" And in Spectre, he's back to drinking his martini shaken, not stirred. Casino Royale also had the best Bond girl of all time because she wasn't someone who was easily susceptible. She was Bond's equal. She had her own agenda to follow. She didn't care about Bond. She cared about her own self, and she didn't cave into his charm. They kind of do that with the Bond girl this time around with Léa Seydoux. They start off the relationship on the right foot as her character doesn't want to get with Bond. And it gives her a certain strength, which we don't see a lot in James Bond, women, but they ruined that all after an action sequence when she asks him, what should we do now? And then she falls into James Bond's trap. It could have been a great opportunity to write a very unique relationship in a James Bond movie where we look at James Bond as a father figure, but they ruined it by going with the same old James Bond routine. Just like that, there are so many throwback tropes to the old James Bond films rather than reinventing the wheel like Casino Royale did. There's a fight scene on a train, just like from Russia with Love. Batista's Mr. Hinks character is a mixture of a muscular Oddjob and Jaws, if Jaws had really sharp thumbs. And Christoph Waltz's Oberhauser is a walking reference to old James Bond movies. With all of that being said, Spectre still does an excellent job of continuing this version and this story of the James Bond era. Spectre gets a 3 out of 5 from me. But the most important part is you guys go see Spectre and tell me what you think. That's what's important. Tell me what you think in the comments below, people. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hit that like button, please, and then hit that subscribe button. Thank you once again for watching, and I will be seeing you once again very soon.